CDL Practice Test, Illinois, Air Brake, Part 4. Question number 81. If your vehicle has a properly functioning dual air brake system and minimum sized air tanks, the air pressure should build from 85 to 100 C within seconds. A. 60, B. 20, C. 45. The correct answer is here, C. 45. Explanation. In dual air systems with minimum sized air tanks, the pressure should build from 85 to 100 C within 45 seconds. Open bracket. With larger air tanks, it can take longer. Check the manufacturer's specifications for the expected amount of time. If it takes longer than it should, there may be a problem with your system that may cause you to lose air pressure while you're driving. Question number 82. A low air pressure warning comes on before what C? A. 70 C, B. 80 C, C. 50 C, D. 60 C. The correct answer is here, D. 60 C. Explanation. A low air pressure warning, such as a red light and/or a buzzer, must come on before the air tank falls below 60 C, or 0.5 the compressor governor cutout pressure on some older vehicles. Question number 84. In which of the following situations should you not apply the parking brakes? A. If you're parking for less than 1 hour. B. When you are testing whether they will hold the vehicle. C. If the brakes are very hot. The correct answer is here, C. If the brakes are very hot. Explanation. If the brakes are too hot, avoid using the parking brakes because the heat may warp and damage the brakes. Also avoid using the parking brakes if they are wet and at risk of freezing. If the parking brakes freeze, your vehicle will be immobilized. In both of these situations, use wheel chocks instead. Question number 85. When you push the brake pedal down, what force or forces push back against your foot? A. The air pressure from the air brake system. B. The hydraulic system within the brake pedal. C. The hydraulic system within the brakes and the air pressure going to the brakes. D. The spring and the air pressure going to the brakes. The correct answer is here, D. The spring and the air pressure going to the brakes. Explanation. When you push on the brake pedal, two forces will resist your foot. These two forces are the spring in the physical pedal and the air pressure coming from the air brake system. Question number 86. If you do not have an automatic tank drain, when should you drain your air tanks? A. Once a week. B. At the end of each working day. C. After every 4 hours of service. The correct answer is here, B. At the end of each working day. Explanation. Oil and water can start to collect in the bottom of an air tank and can cause failure if it's not drained. Unless your vehicle automatically drains the air tanks, you should drain them at the end of each working day so the moisture and oil will not freeze or coagulate and cause your brakes to fail. Question number 87. What does ABS do? A. Prevent the air compressor from overheating. B. Prevent the front brakes from being used on ice. C. Prevent the brakes from being used if downshifting would be more effective. D. Prevent wheel lockup. The correct answers here. D. Prevent wheel lockup. Explanation. The purpose of an anti-lock braking system, ABS, is to prevent wheels from locking up during hard applications of the brakes, especially on slippery surfaces. Question number 88. The total stopping distance for vehicles with air brake systems is influenced by 4 factors. Which of the following is not one of these factors? A. Brake lag distance. B. Perception distance. C. Effective braking distance. D. Road conditions distance. The correct answers here. D. Road conditions distance. Explanation. The correct formula for stopping is the following. Perception distance and reaction distance and brake lag distance and effective braking distance equals total stopping distance. Question number 89. If parking brakes are not being used when the vehicle is parked, what must be done instead? A. Use the emergency brakes. B. Leave the vehicle in gear when parked. C. Parking brakes must always be used. D. Use wheel chocks. The correct answers here. D. Use wheel chocks. Explanation. At times the parking brakes should not be used because they are too hot or wet during freezing temperatures at this time. Wheel chocks should be used instead while the brakes cool or dry out. Question number 90. If oil and water collects in the air tanks, what could happen to the brakes? A. The brakes could fail. B. The brakes could heat up. C. The brakes could lock up. The correct answers here. A. The brakes could fail. Explanation. Air tanks must be drained daily to make sure there is no accumulation of water or oil that can build up and cause the brakes to fail. Question number 91. An air compressor governor controls A. How fast air is pumped into the air storage tanks. B. The temperature of the air pumped into the air storage tanks. C. When the air compressor pumps air into the air storage tanks. The correct answers here. C. When the air compressor pumps air into the air storage tanks. Explanation. In an air brake system, the air compressor governor controls when the air compressor pumps air into the air storage tanks. Question number 92. Before driving a vehicle with a dual air system, the driver must allow A. The air compressor to build up a minimum of at least 100 C in the primary system. B. The air compressor to build up a minimum of at least 60 C in both the primary and secondary systems. C. Nothing. There are no special circumstances for a dual air brake system. D. The air compressor to build up a minimum of at least 100 C in both the primary and secondary systems. The correct answers here. D. The air compressor to build up a minimum of at least 100 C in both the primary and secondary systems. Explanation. Both air brake systems must be fully functional before the driver should use the vehicle. The driver must allow both systems to have at least 100 C so that the brake systems work properly. Warning. It is possible to release the brakes when the pressure has reached 45 C. The warning light will extinguish and the buzzer will stop sounding when the pressure is above 60 C. But you should never release the brakes or drive the vehicle until the air pressure in both systems is above 100 C. Question number 93. You are on a steep downgrade and have reached your safe speed of 40 miles per hour. You would apply the service brakes until your speed drops to A. 25 miles per hour, B. 30 miles per hour, C. 35 miles per hour. The correct answer is here, C. 35 miles per hour. Explanation. When driving down a decline, use your brakes to keep you near your safe speed. Press the brakes to slow your vehicle to 5 miles per hour below your safe speed and then release. Repeat as needed once you surpass your safe speed. Question number 94. As part of your vehicle inspection test, if your vehicle is equipped with air brakes and has a trailer, you'll inspect the air connections between the truck or tractor and the trailer. Make sure that they are locked in place and free of damage or air leaks. A. Lug nuts. B. Pins. C. Glad hands. The correct answer is here, C. Glad hands. Explanation. As part of your vehicle inspection test, if your vehicle is equipped with air brakes and has a trailer, you'll inspect the air connections between the truck or tractor and the trailer. These connections are made with hose couplers, commonly called glad hands because they vaguely resemble shaking hands. These glad hands have rubber seals to form a tight connection and prevent air from escaping. Make sure that the glad hands are locked in place and free of damage or air leaks. Question number 95. Air pressure should build up in a single air system within A. 15 minutes, B. 12 minutes, C. 3 minutes. The correct answer is here, C. 3 minutes. Explanation. In single air systems, air pressure should build from approximately 50 to 90 C within 3 minutes. Question number 96. Modern air brake systems are 3 different systems combined: the service brakes, parking brakes, and brakes. A. Foot. B. Emergency. C. S-cam. The correct answer is here, B. Emergency. Explanation. The emergency brake system utilizes parts of the service brakes and the parking brakes in case your braking systems fail and need to come to a stop. Question number 97. Dollies equipped with ABS are required to have malfunction lamps located where? A. On the rear. B. On the front. C. On the top. D. On the left side. The correct answer is here, D. On the left side. Explanation. A dolly equipped with an anti-lock braking system, ABS, is required to have a yellow malfunction lamp located on its left side. Question number 98. The low air pressure warning signal will come on before the pressure in the air tanks falls below C. A. 50, B. 80, C. 60. The correct answer is here, C. 60. Explanation. The low air pressure warning light must come on before the air pressure falls below 60 C. On some vehicles, the warning light will come on at a higher air pressure. Check the manufacturer's specifications. Question number 99. If the air tanks are not drained, A. You will drive too quickly. B. Your brakes may fail because of water freezing. C. Your transmission fluid may drain out. D. Your left brake will cease to operate. The correct answer is here, B. Your brakes may fail because of water freezing. Explanation. Your air tanks hold a mixture of water and compressor oil. If left in to collect at the bottom, the water may freeze and cause brake failure. Question number 100. Why do large vehicles use air brakes? A. Other brake systems squeak too loudly. B. Air brakes are complicated. C. Air is free. D. Air braking systems are very effective. The correct answer is here, D. Air braking systems are very effective. Explanation. Air brakes are an effective and safe way of stopping large and heavy vehicles, as long as they are maintained and used properly. Question number 101. Which of the following can cause brakes to fail or fade? A. Not pressing the brake pedal hard enough. B. Not taking your foot off the accelerator. C. Overheating, low air pressure, and not relying on the engine braking effect. The correct answer is here, C. Overheating, low air pressure, and not relying on the engine braking effect. Explanation. Low air pressure causes your service brakes to fail. Using brakes that have overheated can cause damage resulting in brake failure, and having brakes gradually out of alignment can cause brake fade. Question number 102. In a dual air brake system, which parts of braking does each system typically operate? A. One system operates the brakes on the rear axles. The other operates the regular brakes on the front axle and the trailer. B. One system operates the brakes on the front and rear axles. The other operates the brakes on the trailer, and possibly a rear axle. C. One system operates the brakes on the rear axles and the trailer. The other operates the regular brakes on the front axle, and possibly a rear axle. D. One system operates the brakes on the rear axles. The other operates the regular brakes on the front axle, and possibly a rear axle. Both supply air to the trailer. The correct answer is here, D. One system operates the brakes on the rear axles. The other operates the regular brakes on the front axle, and possibly a rear axle. Both supply air to the trailer. Explanation. There is a primary and secondary system. The primary usually operates the regular brakes on the rear axles and the secondary usually operates the regular brakes on the front axle, and possibly a rear axle. Both systems send air to the trailer brakes. Question number 103. For a manual air tank, the water and oil are expelled by A. Flipping the drain valve switch on the bottom of the tank. B. Pressing the drain valve button on the side of the tank. C. Unscrewing the cap on the bottom of the tank. D. Turning the drain valve a quarter turn. The correct answer is here, D. Turning the drain valve a quarter turn. Explanation. Manual air tanks have a drain valve that must be turned a quarter turn in order to drain the built up water and oil from the tank. Question number 104. The S-cam, A, pulls the brake shoes away from the drum, letting the wheel roll freely. B, forces the brake shoes against the inside of the brake drum. C, controls the flow of air to each brake chamber. The correct answer is here, B, forces the brake shoes against the inside of the brake drum. Explanation. When the S-cam rotates, it forces the brake shoes apart and against the inside of the brake drum. Friction will slow the rotation of the wheel. Question number 105. S-cam drum brakes have an S-cam in each brake chamber. Why is it called an S-cam? A, it is constantly spinning whenever the wheel is spinning. B, it makes the brake shoes move in an S-shaped path. C, it is shaped like the letter S. The correct answer is here, C, it is shaped like the letter S. Explanation. The S-cam really is S-shaped. As it rotates, it forces the brake shoes away from each other and toward the inside of the brake drum.